decline this call. Hang up.
Hello, hello.
Hi, guys.
How's it going?
Oh, I'm just going crazy here, you know. This is probably the most liberal prison of all of them. They just don't really care if you talk to people from here.
Wow. Well, that's probably good, right?
Yeah, I still don't have a 606 number for Gavin. I would call him.
You know what? His parents are
regular.
His parents are visiting him from down in Mexico, from up in Washington State is where he's from.
Yeah.
And I told you his grandfather died yesterday, so it's probably worth it to wait a couple days.
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday.
Oh,
I'm just saying that I never got a chance to ask him to go get a 606 number.
Oh, okay.
You guys had no trouble. Rudy said he liked the Pigeon Leap people. They're nice people.
Yeah, that looks good. I shared that contact information on Facebook with a lot of people. They seem to like it too now.
I wonder what they charge extra to get the text service going, because I got people I could email that, you know, I could send emails like to Rod if I had the text service. But
oh yeah.
You like? Oh, go ahead.
No, there's 6 different services they offer. I forget all 6 of them now, but I think I picked phone calls and pictures.
And the reason I called you back, I know you guys are busy all the time, but excuse me, you asked about the perpetual motion the other day, and I don't know if we finished that conversation, but you are into electronics a little bit.
This call is from a federal prison.
I was going to tell you, Jeremiah on the workbench up in Idaho got a coil to make free electricity without any moving parts. It was my idea, and he just was following my directions, but he actually went a step further and invented something different.
Okay.
And yeah, it's kind of interesting because have you ever studied transformer technology at all?
It's been a long time, David.
Okay, here's the way it works. The primary doesn't use any electricity, so to speak, because unless you use the secondary, the primary is not using any electricity. In other words, it's called an R1 lock. I mean, there's a thing called the vampire effect, which means you lose a little bit, but overall, the primary doesn't use any energy unless you use the secondary. Then the primary uses the same amount of energy as the secondary uses. Does that make sense?
I would almost have to have a diagram in front of me to understand what you're discussing.
Well, in summary, what I'm trying to explain to you, and I'm just trying to get some interest going, is that he put a third coil on there and put a capacitor on it. You know, a capacitor holds a charge.
Yep.
And he was able to get the energy off of the secondary without crashing the R1 lock and put the extra energy back into the grid to make the meter go backwards.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. See, all the stuff that I'm talking about is stuff that every university in the world teaches is impossible. You know, I'm reading your book here, and it looks like total impossibility written in hundreds of pages. You know, you guys seem to collect impossible things.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. No doubt about that. Have you got to, I need to send you Volume 2. Volume 2 is just as good as Volume 1.
Rudy likes a challenge.
But it has Michelson-Morley, and there's various other experiments, too, that proved that the Earth does not move. And they refused to acknowledge that. Matter of fact, I think Einstein had to come up with some of his general theories of relativity in order to go back to a moving Earth, because they just can't fathom that the Earth doesn't move. I mean, it would be too much for science to have to accept.
You know, I lived 20 years in Las Vegas. I did my talk show from Las Vegas on the WW Worldwide Christian Radio Network. Anyway, I used to go into the casino there, not to gamble necessarily, because I was being raised Mormon. Gambling's not something we're taught to do. But I used to like to play the quarters, you know, in the Il Cortez, because all the poor people go there. And, you know, you can play for some quarters, and it's kind of fun. And I would sit there and win and win and win and just take all the money away from the casino, waiting for my $2 steak dinner. You know, I spent quarters.
Okay.
And, you know, later I started analyzing what I was doing instinctively, you know, and I realized that I was using a new geometry system that nobody's ever seen before.
Wow. Okay.
You might find that kind of strange.
Yeah.
But I did some studying on it. I read the whole book of Hoyle, and what it was that I was doing using a pattern was I was able to get 100% advantage over the casino every 100 hands.
Wow.
Now, we're talking about crazy things that sound improbable and impractical.
Right.
So, I'm telling you right now, if I play 100 hands of any 50-50 game, I can double I can earn 100 extra chips.
But you would agree
It doesn't matter what they are.
You would agree that you just said a 50-50 game. You would agree that there is no such thing as a 50-50 game, whether you're playing craps or blackjack or even.
Oh, I know they got the house advantage, but the closest thing would be the baccarat table, which has almost zero advantage for the house, and that's why they charge a vig, you know.
Yeah.
But the point is, this same math system, I named it. I named it Infinity.
Okay.
Because Infinity, my corporation that I created, the corporate symbol is the 8 on its side. It's the infinity symbol.
Oh, gotcha.
And the color of the emblem is going to be purple because it's the color of Jesus Christ, supposedly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think the King James Bible does mention that they put a purple robe on him.
Right. Yeah. They call me blue, you know, in prison because I drank a bunch of silver water in the past, and when I get out in the sunlight, I literally look blue.
Well, that's that word blue blood comes from the fancy people.
I know.
Yeah.
How do you get silver water in there?
He did it before he went in.
I don't have it in here.
Oh.
Yeah. I made millions of dollars selling silver water and spent all my money doing work for people and helping people. I never had more than $100 in my savings account. Can you imagine?
Wow.
This greedy person, they say that owes $8 million. But anyway, no, I didn't owe them a dime. But the point is, with the silver really doesn't work. I'm just telling you my real spin on it. I still get the flu. I got lots of silver in me. I have a disease called anguria. It's when your skin looks a little bit bluish gray from the silver.
Okay. Is there any other negative effects other than blue skin?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't look real blue, but I look pretty normal. But some people notice it. They think, well, man, you look like you're one of them zombies, you know, Walking Dead there. No, I'm okay.
Does it
but
stick
anyway,
around or does it come and go?
Silver is photoreactive, and I made the silver clear. I could put literally half silver and half water, and it looked as clear as water. So the silver that's in me, if I stand near a green wall, I look green. I literally I'm like I'm like a chameleon, you know.
Wow.
So you mean once it goes in there, it doesn't come out ever?
No, it stains.
Wow.
And that's why, you know. See, I didn't know, when I told you about having the auric field that was purple, I didn't know, I never took that picture before I drank all that silver water. I might have a purple aura because of the silver water. I mean,
well,
I just don't know. But
yeah. No, I have a...
I just thought, you know...
That's very interesting. You know, you mentioned the Killian photography, but we have a friend, Aaron and I both. His name is Alfred Adask. He wrote a magazine called the Anti-Shaster Magazine. He spent a year in prison for, I think, selling colloidal, what's it called? Colloidal silver. So,
yeah.
I think you and him would have, and he also talks about this common law thing, sovereign citizen, quite a bit. He was interviewed on 60 Minutes. I think you and him would get along well, too.
Right. Well, you have to understand, I don't believe in the silver anymore, really. The silver stains. It doesn't leave your body. It stays localized, and it's just, you know. Silver is excellent for sunburn. I just don't. I promote silver not for internal consumption. I find that the copper goes everywhere where there's liquids. It doesn't stain. It moves throughout the system. It removes the parasites and the viruses, and the copper actually works better than the silver. And so, I really like the copper. I don't want, now if you had a sore throat, I'd say gargle with some silver. It'll stain your throat. Spit it out, and now your sore throat will go away.
Well, let me ask you this.
Inhaled.
Could Aaron and I today, right now, order your copper water if we wanted to? Is there somewhere we could go and
buy it?
Guy Wilson has.
This call is from a federal prison.
Right now. He would send you some for free if you asked.
Oh, I just didn't know if there was a website where it's available to anybody, or it has to be like a special request.
That's been the problem. He has product, but nobody's promoting it, and they're not answering the phone.
I see. Okay. Okay.
So this is why I said to John Lamb, I said, John, I would love to have you promote the copper on your show. I would love to share, some funds with you on this. But I really would, I'd like to make sure we do enough business or get enough interest in it that they can hire one person to answer the phone, and help. Right, because guy's been working 18 hours a day. He's just really work, and he's like on meltdown. And between that and the transformer and the Gulf, but we're just kind of jumping around. But so if you took the silver water and put it like I did, it's 600 parts per million, and you inhale a thimbleful, we're talking like a quarter ounce, you inhale that, it removes terminal tuberculosis. It takes 2 hours.
You said silver water. You meant you said silver water. You meant copper water?
No, I said it right.
Oh.
But see, I'm saying you can use the silver when it's ionic like that at 600 parts per million, and a thimbleful will remove terminal tuberculosis. But you want it to stain. You want these micro-sized pieces of micro silver, extra size actually. You want it to absorb into the cells of the lung tissue and provide a permanent barrier against the tuberculosis. In other words, you don't want to ever get a lung infection, so if you were to breathe a small amount of silver, knowing that it stains, knowing that it's going to stay localized in the lung tissue, it would prevent you from ever getting tuberculosis. Kind of like an inoculation.
Is there anybody competing?
What I'm saying?
Is there anybody competing with you now? I mean, all this silver water, copper water? No, there's nobody.
Nobody. But you got to understand, I don't make silver like everybody else. See, the secret to what I did, I don't use electricity to make it. First off, with all the different metals, copper doesn't dissolve in hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid is what's in your stomach. This is why copper is so poisonous if it's made wrong. You see? And it's the same with silver. Silver only dissolves in nitric acid. Anytime you have too much nitrates, it's poisonous. The reason a cow has two stomachs is because the first stomach is to get rid of the nitrates. And if you feed a horse or cow grass that's been over-nitrated, it'll bloat that animal, and the animal will die from being bloated. So even the movie with Aaron Brockovich, about that was 5-valence chrome. It was like poisonous chrome, and that is made by putting nitric acid in chrome metal. You get this poisonous chrome. So anytime you have too much nitrates in your food, in fact, this is what makes a banana. When it's green, it has too much nitrates in it. Nature replaces the nitrates with oxygen, and that's called ripening of the fruit.
Okay. All right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you want to stain your lung with microns of silver, it's a good plan. But I wouldn't drink it and turn gray because I still get the flu. But on the other hand, if you drink the copper, it goes in it crosses the blood-brain barrier, the spinal barrier. It's in your spit, it's in your sweat, it's everywhere throughout your whole body. The copper goes everywhere. It does not stain, and if you take too much, it just passes out when you urinate. So it does the job.
Yeah.
See, I'm the person. These concepts came from me. I didn't learn these in medical school.
Right. We need to get you out of
prison. I'm telling you things that God gave me.
We need to get you out of prison so that you can advocate these wonderful ideas of yours. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I can call you back in a little bit, but...
No, you will not be charged for this call. This call is from
J.D. Myers.
an inmate at a federal prison. This call is being recorded and is subject to monitoring. Hang up to decline the call or to accept. Dial 5 now. If you wish to block any future calls of this nature, dial 7 now. To decline this call.
Hey, I just had an idea. Well, you go ahead, but go ahead. I just thought I had an idea as you were calling.
I've been calling you back so many times. You were actually recording me, and I know you're sharing all this with Devin, and there's so many things we can talk about that they might find interesting.
No, I understand.
But anyway, I really do believe that I was inspired to, I tried each one of the different metals to see if I could make a non-toxic drink, and I figured out basically how to dissolve the metals in nitric acid. I'd make a poisonous metal, I freeze dry it, and then what I've been able to do is replace the nitrates with oxygen. That's kind of a quick summary. In other words, you make it non-toxic so that you're totally pre-digesting the minerals. And the one thing I haven't done, I haven't tested or finished testing on MS and MD. I mean, so far we've taken out and got rid of the lymphoma, a terminal case of lymphoma. We've seen lung infections go away in like 2 hours.
Well, yep.
But there's a reason why, real quick. There's a reason why it made the lung infection go away. Okay, and here's the reason. The phlegm in your lung, when you have a flu in your lung, you have this moisture that's secreted in the lungs by the body to neutralize the acidic crystalline neurotoxins that are secreted from the bacteria or the infection. In other words, pus is acidic. The body's reflex action is to release the moisture into the lung cavity to try to dilute the acids, if that makes any sense logically. And so this lymph system has copper in it. If you drink the copper...
This call is from a federal prison.
It's in your lymph system. The moisture called phlegm that is secreted into the lung cavity now has the copper in it, and that is why it got rid of the lung infection in 2 hours. In other words, it's a weird story, if you see what I'm saying, because normally you'd have to inhale something, like we started out this conversation. But the fact that I could sit there and have my cousin drink an 8-ounce glass of copper water and lose his lung infection in 2 hours is really a miracle. I mean, I actually predicted it before it happened. I said, well, you got this lung infection for 3 months. I want you to drink 8-ounce glass at 300 parts per million, and I want you to tell me what happens. I mean, I actually predicted the thing, He drank it, and 2 hours later, he wasn't coughing after 3 months of coughing.
That's incredible.
Is it a good idea to wear copper jewelry?
Doesn't matter. I mean, they say that's good for your arthritis, but that copper's poisonous. In other words, if you were to grind up copper as a dust and swallow it, it would cause that disease called Wilson's disease, which we talked about in the first phone call we were having.
Let me share this idea with you that I had and see what you think. I want to make like a video that says the title will be David Hinkson claims, he's created a Galt motor, or David Hinkson claims copper water can. I don't want to say can cure because I think the FDA might come in on me. But anyway, you tell me the proper way to word it and title it, and then I want to encourage others. I want to give you an introduction and then say if anybody thinks you're exaggerating or putting out falsehoods, to send me your questions, and I can get those questions to you, and you'll respond to like just a tremendous amount of questions that I expect will come in. But I think if we did it that way, it would generate a lot of interest, because then you're taking a position and you're saying, I'll debate anybody who says otherwise.
If you go online on the internet, you will find that copper 100% kills all viruses known to man. They also make that claim about silver. This is why I read an article in the Wall Street Journal that talked about the concept of hospitals going to using copper doorknobs and copper tabletops in all of the hospital rooms so that they don't have to worry about the staph infections anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then
I'm giving you some ideas here.
Copper jewelry is good to wear?
It's okay to wear it, but please don't consume it. It's not going to do it. It's poisonous.
No, I wouldn't consume it.
Well, yeah.
Laundry bluing. You've heard of laundry bluing, like we had in the 50s when your mother would whiten the clothes with laundry bluing?
No.
I can't say I've heard of that.
That's copper nitrate, if you look up on the internet, which is poisonous. But we used to put a teaspoon of that into the horse trough water to deworm the horses. So copper, it's a fact that copper is the only element that I know of, that man knows of, if you can Google it yourself, that actually kills all parasites. It's poisonous to all bugs, in other words, and it kills all nitrogen-breathing pathogens. See, bacteria, there's different kinds of bacteria. Bacteria that breathes nitrogen is, like syphilis, gonorrhea, bad stuff. Yogurt, cheese, and acidophilus, that's bacteria fecal matter from oxygen-breathing bacteria. So copper won't kill oxygen-breathing bacteria. It only kills nitrogen-breathing bacteria. So what you have to realize is nitrates are bad, oxygen is good. If I'm making any sense logically.
I often hear about alkaline, acidic, and alkaline.
Oh, they say that body should, if you can make your body alkaline or acidic.
That's true.
Yeah. We have a lot of people who believe it.
That's 100% true, because cancer cannot stand the pH of 7. So I was one of the pioneers that if you take baking soda and cook it with some maple syrup or honey and throw in a little sugar, that 100% will stop you from getting cancer. Take a spoonful of that a day, because cancer loves sugar. Yeah. Cancer just loves sugar. And by putting the alkaline ion with the glucose, you're basically giving the cancer a poison. Mm-hmm. That's not poisonous for you.
Wait, I thought you said to cook the baking soda with sugar and honey, but aren't you putting the sugar and the honey, which the cancer will use? I mean, or should you just do baking soda all by itself?
That's the whole point. You want to tie the ions of baking soda, you want to tie that to the glucose. The cancer loves sugar. It'll grab the sugar with the ion of baking soda, or Arm & Hammer.
Yeah.
It'll grab that ion and it'll kill the cancer.
Wow. Okay.
Now see, also, the reason I thought that copper might cure lymphoma, and I didn't have any proof of it, of course, was because of my lawyer, and he had lymphoma, and I knew that copper's in the lymph system, see, because in all the liquids. So I had, the copper's going to get there, and if you read on the internet, you'll also find that copper is used by cancer to make new feeder veins. So, hey, cancer likes to use copper, but yet copper also kills viruses. And most cancers are caused by a virus that mutates a cell from being oxygen to nitrogen breathing. See, these are all just concepts you have to get a grasp on. To not consume copper because you think you're going to starve out the cancer is stupid. What you want to do is mix the copper with some some baking soda if you got a cancer problem. Yeah. In other words, give the cancer what it wants, but lace it with something the cancer is going to die from.
I see. I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay. You're like a little bit of rat poison. Most of it's good, but there's a little bit of poison in there that'll kill the rat.
Right. Nitrogen-breathing bacteria cannot stand alkalinity. The human body loves everything up to 10. 10 is not a problem. So you can take a spoonful of Arm & Hammer every day. It's not going to hurt you. But if you mix that with honey and cook it and let it settle out what it settles out. It's not very tasty, by the way. Take a spoonful of that a day. It'll stop you from ever getting cancer. It's like preventative.
What if you just take the baking soda by itself?
Well, you haven't laced it with something the cancer has to have, so it's going to try to protect itself.
Well, what if it's already in your stomach, the sugar? Like what?
All I know is I had a guy that had a big tumor on his nose, and I told him to ozonate some lemon juice, which was like a miracle. And we put baking soda with it before we ozonate. We ozonated it for like 24 hours, and he started rubbing that on his skin cancer, and his skin cancer just sort of disappeared real fast. He'd had 3 surgeries.
Wow.
I've done a lot of clinical testing, different studies, but this is kind of my mission. See, I was raised all my life. You got to go on a mission for the church. You got to knock on doors. You got to spread this gospel. And my way of going, I just didn't feel it. I just didn't have the I guess the Spirit didn't grab my bosom. So,
Yeah.
But my mission was medicine. You know, I had cancer in 1988. I was covered with tumors. That's when I got into medicine. I'm a very late bloomer in this field. You know, like I said in my email, I started out trying to cure my own cancer. I succeeded, and from there I went to medical school and got a degree in naturopathy. And I never really, you know, I dropped out of I quit doing talk shows in '95. Dropped off from there and Broad went his own way. You know, so overall, I never did mention the energy or anything else, but I always knew, like I've been telling you guys, that this whole thing is a fight between Satan and God, because, you know, I do a pretty good job starting out talking about how the corporations are all evil and how these people are just switching out all the governments all over the world for these phony ones. And they're enslaving all the people by making them corporate chattel property, and they're canceling their birthright to God. You know, it all ties together in the big scheme of things.
There's no doubt about that. We've recently had a few friends die of cancer, more than a couple, just in the past year or two. I wish we had been introduced to you a lot sooner than just recently, but it is what it is. You know, it sounds like we really.
I know 5 different ways. I got 5 different ways to cure cancer.
Wow.
Guy has the formulas. Bloodroot is one of the. There was an Indian lady that made a product called Black.
This call is from a federal prison.
Guy in Winnemucca, Nevada. If you donate him $20, he'll send you a bottle of a pills he calls Canex. 100% works. There was a Dr. Gold in Syracuse, New York, that was curing cancer. Kathy Keaton wrote a story about it. It was in the Penthouse magazine. She was later accidentally died when she went for surgery. But before she, you know, died on this operating table, she developed terminal cancer, and Dr. Gold cured it. Dr. Gold fled to St. Petersburg, Russia. You type in the Kathy Keaton story, you'll find her.
Have you heard of? There's news stories all over. Like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, my wife could probably tell you even more than I could. But these natural doctors that have natural ways to cure things, they've been murdered like crazy.
Dying.
Over 100 have been killed now.
He's been worried about that. You know, he's one of them. He's seen all his fellow doctors being murdered.
Yes, right. Incredible.
Yeah, they really, Satan does not, this is my opinion, but the satanic forces and Satan himself, they don't like it. But I don't know, I mentioned to you how I was attacked by an evil presence, right?
Right.
I told you about that.
Yes.
That was real. I wasn't drunk. I wasn't high. I was sober, and I was attacked.
That's incredible.
And it was real.
Yeah.
So I can't say there's no God because I was attacked by a demon.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a demon, there must be a God.
No amen. No, there's definitely a God.
And that demon had the power to go through the wall. It came through the wall. Yeah. The doors were locked. He was solid. He threw me on the floor.
Was that when you were out of prison or in prison?
It's weird.
Were you out of prison or in prison when that? Were you out of prison or in prison when that happened?
Yeah.
I was living in the outskirts of Las Vegas before. This is back in about 1990.
Gotcha. Okay.
I have no criminal record, but I did not preach against the Internal Revenue. I didn't go and say that they're not an agency created by Congress, which they're not. I never got on the radio. You know, I just dropped out from 95 till they came and got me. So my advice to all you patriots that are listening to this message is, if you're fighting with the government, don't surrender till they do. Because these people will come get you.
Right. You've got an incredible story, David. We really need to get you out of prison so you can further these ideas about healing people and this Galt motor. I would love to devote a lot of time to understanding this Galt motor. I don't have the time right now in my life, but it is something right up my alley. I mean, I love mechanical things like that.
What I was thinking we ought to do, because I don't want to sell them.
Yeah.
Not now. I just want to hook them up and bring the price of power down to help the people, and I want to fund the Christian ministries.
Yeah.
I want to fund prisoner release. I talked to Gavin about it. I said, why don't you talk to the utility company there, see what kind of deal they'd like to pay for their power, and let's sell them $2 million a month worth of power right there in Mexico. That'd be cool. Why not?
That would be cool, yeah. That would be very cool.
See, I don't want to sell these. I want to get. I want the Babylonian check every month so we can spend it as fast as we can doing God's work. How's that sound?
That sounds great. That sounds great. You need to maintain your sanity, brother, because I know you've going through hell with 15 years in prison. We need to keep you sane and in good spirits until we can get you out of there, until God can get you out of there.
I'll call you on Monday. I guess we're out of time.
Okay. All right, David.